When someone kind of vanishes from social life, our minds usually jump straight to one thing, right? Depression. But what if it's not that? What if it's something quieter, something a lot more deliberate? Today, we're going to explore a completely different kind of withdrawal, one that doesn't start with sadness, but actually with a new kind of awareness. Seriously, just think about it for a second. Have you ever found yourself pulling back from your friends? Not because of some big fight or any drama, but just because something feels off. If that feeling rings a bell, then what we're about to go through might feel, well, almost uncomfortably accurate. Okay, let's get into it. This whole journey, it pretty much unfolds in 5 distinct stages. We're going to walk through every single one, from that first quiet, nagging feeling of discomfort, all the way to a brand new, much more intentional way of connecting with people. Consider this our roadmap for the trip. All right, let's kick things off with part 1, the quiet beginning. This is the part where the shift is almost invisible to everyone else, because it's all happening inside you long before you actually do anything about it. So in stage 1, you're doing all the normal stuff. You're at the parties, you're in the group chats, you're laughing at all the right moments. But then you walk away and you just feel hollow, kind of drained. It's like you're watching a rerun of a show you used to love, but all the magic is just gone. The conversations themselves aren't bad. They just feel like they're stuck on a loop. And this is the script that starts playing in your head, isn't it? Since there's no big, obvious reason to feel this way, you try to explain it away. You tell yourself, I'm just tired, or I'm probably just overthinking things. You stick around because leaving just doesn't make logical sense, not yet anyway. Stage 2 is where a little bit of clarity starts to break through. And it's a huge realization. The problem isn't that your friends are bad people. The problem is that you've changed. Your inner world has gotten bigger, deeper maybe. You're asking different questions, but the conversations around you are still splashing around in the shallow end. And this just perfectly captures the specific kind of pain of this stage. It's not the ache of being alone, it's the ache of being in a room full of people who don't really see the person you are now. You might try to bring up something meaningful and it's met with a joke or just awkward silence. So you just start to talk less. It's just too exhausting to constantly translate yourself for everyone. Okay, so now we get into the second phase, the active shedding. This is where that quiet, internal feeling finally starts to become an external, visible action. This is where the distance gets real. Stage 3 is where the rubber meets the road. Those texts that you used to reply to in seconds, now they might sit for a few hours, maybe a day. You find yourself canceling plans you know you should go to, plans you once would have forced yourself to attend. You start to treat your own energy like the precious, finite resource that it is. But here is the crucial difference. Maybe the most important clue in this whole thing. It's the feeling it creates. When you cancel those plans, you don't feel a pit of anxiety or guilt in your stomach. You feel relief, like a deep exhale. See, depression feels heavy, like a weight you can't get out from under. This feels light. It feels like you're finally putting down a heavy backpack you didn't even realize you had been carrying. Now, guilt is absolutely going to try to crash the party during this stage. You'll start worrying, am I becoming a bad person? Am I selfish? But this reframe is so perfect. You're not actually rejecting other people. You're just letting go of the old versions of yourself that stayed quiet when they wanted to speak up, that accepted less than they deserved, that made themselves smaller just to fit in. And that leads us directly into stage 4, radical solitude. Now, from the outside, this is the stage that looks the most extreme. You might stop initiating contact altogether. You give up trying to make people get you. And yeah, your social circle can shrink a lot. Sometimes it gets down to just 1 or 2 people, or maybe even 0 for a little while. But here's the wild part, the thing nobody tells you about this stage. It doesn't actually feel sad. It feels clear. In all this new space you've created, your thoughts finally slow down. Your nervous system gets a chance to just breathe. Your creativity doesn't just come back, it explodes. Your trust in yourself goes through the roof. And that quiet little voice inside you, your intuition, it starts speaking up loud and clear. And that's the real gift of radical solitude. It's like, for maybe the first time in your entire adult life, you can actually hear yourself think without the constant noise of everyone else's opinions and expectations and drama getting in the way. It's a total recalibration. But listen, this journey doesn't just end with you alone on a mountaintop. Now we arrive at the final act, the intentional return. This is all about coming back into the world, but this time it's on completely new terms. Because after all that quiet, all that clarity you found in solitude, your standards have just fundamentally changed. The goal isn't a big social circle anymore, the goal is precision. You're not antisocial, you've become selectively social. And these become your new rules for engagement. You'd rather have one deep, meaningful conversation a month than a dozen surface-level chats every week. You start to value real, honest connection way more than just polite, forced harmony. How someone makes you feel now becomes more important than how long you've known them. And you actively choose people who bring a sense of calm to your life, not chaos. So as we start to wrap this up, let's just boil it all down. This whole process, from start to finish, is about turning down the volume of the outside world so you can finally hear yourself. I mean, this comparison really says everything, doesn't it? Depression often makes you pull away because deep down, you feel like you're not good enough for other people. This process of intentional isolation happens because you're starting to realize that you are worthy of connections that actually feel right. One path is driven by self-doubt, and the other is driven by a growing sense of self-worth. So if any part of this journey sounded even a little bit familiar to you, the most important thing to hear is this. You are not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not turning into some cold, antisocial person. You are simply evolving. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. What can feel like loss is actually clarification. You're not losing people. You're shedding noise. And what comes after the noise is gone isn't emptiness. It's alignment. And that right there changes absolutely everything.